Okay, here we are at a property. I just got a call today and I happened to be out checking and setting traps. This is a new one, so we're gonna walk the entire yard and see what we can find. We'll just do a quick walkthrough. Got my traps here. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14 traps on stakes in hand. And I've got my tool belt. The pouch holds all my tools. So we're just walking and I can immediately feel tunneling up in here. So what I'll do is I'll just drop a trap right there, mark that location. And I may or may not set that trap there depending on what I find as I move along, but I'm just kind of marking spots initially on my first walkthrough. If I see a good tunnel that looks fairly straight, singular, I'll drop a trap there. Doesn't mean you have to set one. Feeling with my feet. I tell guys that your eyes do about 50% of the seeing, and your feet should do about the other 50%. Because, on lawns like this where, it's maintained and manicured and we've had a lot of moisture, you may not see run like this that goes up there. So, because it hasn't yellowed out. If it dries out, it's easy to see where the runs are. And so we're just gonna walk and see there's a run right along here. Again, we don't have to set a trap here, but this is just kind of marking spots. Like to look up along hard surfaces, sidewalks, walls here. Don't see much over there. We can do a little bit of probing. Nah, nothing there. But there is more tunneling here. It all kind of goes along here, it looks like. So we can set a backup trap if we want to. Drop one there. You can see where it comes along here, right along here. Down here, a foot popped up a little bit. This has been rained on. Those edges are kind of smoothed over, the edges of the dirt. So this isn't brand new, but I can tell it's fairly new. Yeah, this is all big feeding area, and you can see it's kind of stays wet in here, so the moles love it. So this is a good example of a spot where if you were probing around and trying to find the best run and this and that, you'd be here for an hour trying to figure out what's going on. So in cases like this, I'll just throw a few extra traps in the ground and just find decent sections of tunnel that are fairly singular. Like if you look, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it goes here, it zigzags up a little bit here. This would just put it in the ground, just put a trap there. That mole has put forth the effort to make that tunnel, so they will come back and use it. They're not necessarily just gonna abandon it. See, like I'm walking around, this is all soft all throughout here. And I always look for, the singular runs that go into the feeding areas like this. And sometimes you'll catch those along wood lines here. And that's places I like to look to see if I can find, maybe where they're popping out of the woods, a little bit of activity there. You know, because sometimes it's real easy. You'll see, you know, a tunnel come out to the feeding area, and then you're like, okay, well, that's easy. Just sit right there. There's a little bit of activity along the edge here. I like little spots like this where it's kind of popped up. They've come through. So we can investigate that. See if maybe we can get one guy that's been working over here. And we're just moving along, paying attention to the hard surfaces. If we need to do a little bit of probing, I just use the Hori knife and get down. Nothing really there. This is my first time at this property, so I'm not familiar with it. The customer walked around with me and showed me the property lines. And I asked her if she had any other companies come in and do any mole control, and she said no. She tried the worms, they did not work. And she said she caught 1 or 2 last year, or I'm sorry, this past summer in her beds, and that's it. Okay. Feeling a little bit. Okay, so not sure if you can see. This is a run right along here. We'll set one there. Another run here. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. 6 traps left. Quit carrying my bucket. I love just carrying the traps like this. It's just so much easier on the body. Okay. Also like to check around trees, you know, old stumps like you see here. You know, if you know, you see things like this, you know, yep, you know, that's deeper, but we're gonna set one there. A couple golf balls. We're on a golf course. Another stump here, and you can see right here, you know, this might be older. It's rain, so it's hard to tell. You can do a little bit of probing. Why not? We'll set another one. Yeah, see, this is all tore up in here. It's all raised up. Let's see if we can find a section of tunnel. You know, in these feeding areas, if I find a decent section of tunnel, you know, 18 inches, 2 foot long, that's, you know, kind of just one section of tunnel, you know, I'll set on that. I don't like to set right next to like Y's where the tunnel, you know, breaks off. But if you can find a spot that's, you know, a good 18, at least 18 inch, 24 inch section of singular tunnel, go ahead and set on it. They'll go back through there. Yeah, this is all worked up here. Check along the driveway here. Yeah, see, along the driveway. Right here. It's pushed up, so maybe we'll do one there. We could do a backup trap down here if we wanted, but actually, right along here, let's do one right there. looks like there's quite a bit of activity right here, and then it kind of funnels down into one tunnel right here and then on. So if he's coming this way, we'll get him. If he's coming this way, if we were to set in one of these tunnels, several tunnels here, he may not hit that tunnel, but it kind of narrows down to right there. Looks like there might be one on the outside edge here, but I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's just go back. I got a couple, I'm gonna grab a few extra traps just in case I find a couple more spots I wanna throw additional traps. This video might be long, so I hope you got coffee. All right, let's start getting some traps in the ground. And we may find that I may not want to set, I've already set all these traps out to be put in the ground, but I may start digging it up and decide that I don't want to put the trap there. So we'll see. Okay, let me make sure that I got it in the frame here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So we'll just start popping it down. Just a small opening like that. Take our spoon very quickly. There it is. We just need to open it up a little bit. So you can see, that's easily an inch narrower than the trap. And we take the trap like so. Pinch the dog, use our middle finger or ring finger I like to use my middle finger. Steady that pan. We don't want to put it in with the pan facing down. We want it to be steadied and up, or else the pan will dig into the bottom of the tunnel. So once we get it like that, we'll push it, jam it down in there, then hit the bottom of the tunnel and then go another ½ inch or so. And you can see here how we held that pan up and it's off the tunnel floor, okay? So once we get it in there, that thing's solid. Then we'll take our setting tools, get it on, slightly pushing down just a little bit just to keep the trap from wanting to rise back up. Set it, let it go, make sure it closes, and we'll set it. Take the dog, and I push down on the pan in the front, and that pulls the back up, and that's it. You can see that trigger pan is actually on the floor of the tunnel. That's good, that's perfect, that's what we want. And then what I'll do is just make sure we got room underneath the trigger pan here for that pan to go down to release. So then what I'll do is just take some of this loose dirt, kind of funnel it in. Sometimes I'll take this, break it in half and put it on each side of the dog, so that when the trap fires, the dog can still come up between those two pieces of sod. So after that, then stake in there like that, and off to the next one. Remember, small openings, small, not wide, small. We open it up wider with the trap. And a lot of times if you open these tunnels up and you don't smear the bottom of the tunnel with your finger like I've already done, you can actually see the tracks. You'll see that where the hind feet help push the mole through the tunnel and guide it. Worms, that's why they're that's why the moles are here. So again, like this, all with one hand, get it in at an angle. We push with our thumb on this hand and push that up and down, get it in there. That's just sitting on the floor of the tunnel. It's just sitting there now, but we need to make sure that we need to go down an additional 1/2 inch or more. That sets the depth. Setters, light downward pressure, cycle it, and then this case you can see how this pan is right up on this little bit of dirt here. What I'll do is, if the ground's soft enough like it is, I'll push that down, and that kind of makes clearance for the pan to release the dog when the mole comes through there. Or you can get under it like that. There, now we see that. Okay, you don't need to set these on a hair trigger, just get it on there. Don't worry about getting it on a hair trigger. And a couple things on this one I'll show you. The trigger pan stops are an absolute game changer. They keep that pan perfectly centered on the trap, so you don't, when you're down there messing with it, you don't have to make sure that that pan is centered. And number two, these Magnum kits here, the spacers that you can put on the spring to make the trap stronger. The huge advantage with those is when you go to cycle the trap to make sure that the trap will close when it goes off, a lot of times on the first shot it'll close because it's so much stronger. And number two, you can extend your trapping season into the winter and not worry about your traps freezing up. Obviously, if you get a hard freeze, it will still jam up your traps, but you will figure out that you'll be able to go a little bit longer into the winter and extend your mole trapping into the winter. How long, I don't know. You'll have to figure it out on your own. There will eventually come a time when, if you do have to trap in the winter and the ground freezes up solid, you may have to switch to a different type of trap, like a trap line or a patong or a tunnel trap. So you just have to figure out, you know, what that threshold is for you in your area as far as when you have to stop using the scissor traps, the mole reapers. So then we'll just backfill it and move on. So I'm going to set these next few, unless I really think I need to make a point, I'm just going to go ahead and set them and not say much. If they don't close under their own power, you can take the setters off and pull it apart and force it shut. And what that does is that'll just make the clearance. Sometimes I dig a plug out like this. Sometimes I put it in and pull it out. It makes no difference. Wet tunnels, if there's water in the bottom of a tunnel when you open it up, absolutely set a trap there. 100% set it. Sometimes I'll take some dirt or mud and I'll put it down just on each side of the trigger pan. You can do that. Does it disguise the trigger pan? Yes. Do you have to do it? Don't think so, but sometimes I do it. That mole's gonna bust through there anyway. And I'm gonna set another one right here. I know we've got 1, 2, 3 already coming down this hill. So we're gonna, for the time that it takes to throw a trap in, we're just gonna do it. If you get dirt and whatnot on your traps, I've found that the best way to get that off without ruining your spacers or your trigger pan stops is to simply just hit the end like this. Don't hit up here where the plastic components are. Just a whack like that. So if you get traps that are really muddy from a job, just let them dry out, and then when you're ready to use them, give them a pop and they'll be fine. Yep. And it may look like that trigger pan is not going far enough that way. It is. Just, you gotta have faith. Just trust me. I like the spoon because it also kind of lets me know which direction the tunnel goes. Like I see this one, it's pretty much straight this way, but if I come over here and try to go that way, it actually goes like this, and then it curves back this way. So that helps me just kick that trap at just a little bit of an angle when I set it. I know going into it that I need to get it and have it angled just a touch this way, down, set. It's December 28th here in St. Louis, Missouri area. I'm out of Eureka, Missouri. So it's warm for this time of year, which is good because the ground is still very workable. The traps, it's the nights, the forecast is it's not getting too cold at night where it's going to lock up. The ground's going to freeze and lock up my traps. So there's quite a bit of activity around here too. And this could all be the same mole that's doing work all down the side, all back here, over in here, maybe two. We'll see. I'm just gonna pop another one in here, and there's just a section right here. It's a short section of singular tunnel, but it is a singular tunnel. So we're just gonna hit it with the leaves and everything. It's kind of hard to decipher exactly what's going on. So at this point, it comes down just getting some traps in the ground and moving on. Yeah, that opened up pretty clean. Don't even need to clean it out. Down. saw a little bit of activity back here along this wood line. Let's see if we can find something worthwhile to set on. Sometimes you find these tunnels right along the wood line where it's like a super highway where you set and keep pulling moles and keep pulling moles and keep resetting, and that's what you do. That's a super highway. If I bring this back, you can see this tunnel goes like that, and then it kind of dips down. So yeah, we'll set a trap here. Why not? And like I've said before, anytime you can see the tunnel comes like this and kind of dips down and goes deeper. So the trap is actually set at an angle. Any information you can get from your customers is always going to be helpful. You know, things like where was the most recent activity. Some of them won't know, which is fine. I like to know if anyone else has tried to trap moles in the past, and if so, what methods and the success. Not that that is necessarily going to change anything, but I just like to know that stuff, and kind of know what customer expectations are. You know, if they had a company come in and didn't catch a darn thing, and then you come in and catch a few moles, you know, you're gonna just make their day, and they'll be happy. But not that that really changes anything as far as where you're going to set and how you're going to set. You're still going to go through the same motions. Sometimes you can get in there and just rammer out around with your hand. Look at that big old juicy guy. Okay, sometimes when you open the tunnel, like this side, I kind of took a little bit more off this side, and you can see that most of this side is actually still intact. So I'm actually going to set this trap backwards of how I would normally do it. So normally I'd take it like this, go in with the pan facing that way, but since I've already got clearance for my dog over here for the most part, I'm just going to set it backwards. So we do the same thing, just backwards. Get it down in there, same thing, just backwards. Instead of having to clear a bunch more out here, I've already got that cleared out. So you should try to become proficient setting them both ways. And it's just backwards here. Just like that. Throw the bait back in there. Go on. And that's it. Ooh. Ooh. Super spongy around here. Again, I opened it up and this side kind of tore out a little bit. But that's okay. Yep. So we'll set this one backwards too. Paint all your stuff orange or put orange electrical tape on it. Because if you're like me, you leave it laying yards. Need to repaint these. So what we'll do is we'll set these few traps on the far side of the house over here, and then we'll do a quick walkthrough. I like to do just a quick walkthrough, make sure nothing's gone off already. It happens. Get lucky sometimes. These are the stumps. We'll see if we can maybe get something out of these. Yeah, right here. I like to get that dirt that's funneled down there. They like to nest in tree roots. They like their resting chambers and nesting chambers in these in the roots because it gives them a feeling of security, protection. And moles can have several chambers, nesting chambers or resting chambers throughout a property. But it's very common to see them around trees or bushes, like the roots. Even if there's a grouping of bushes, a lot of times they'll make nests there. Did I mention I don't use a bucket anymore? Sometimes I'll take my spoon and wiggle it side to side to know exactly how wide that tunnel is. It's pretty wide here because it looks like he's been obviously using this a lot. So what we'll do is we'll clean that out pretty good. We'll get that trap in there. Make sure we're deep enough. That's one of the biggest issues I see. Why most people fail trapping moles is they don't get the traps deep enough, and the mole just tunnels right under it. You gotta be able to imagine where that trigger pan is. You know, you want it to be low. If they come along and dig face plant right into it, that's okay. You know, don't think that you need to get it up high enough to where they just barely go under it and push it up. No, if they run right into it, they're going to go under it. So not happy with that one. All right, that tunnel goes like this and then comes back this way. Yep. set this one backwards too. See how the trap's got a bunch of junk. Sometimes you can, I don't know where my trigger pan stops. Oh, maybe I didn't put them on this one. All right, if that's the case, then you got to make sure it's centered up. These traps are rock solid, but you want, as with any trap, I'm gonna find another one to set over here. Aha. Set one here. All right, maybe one more. Seems to be quite a bit of activity over here too. Oh. Oh. Rock. The side of that trap is down on a piece of rock. This area is very stony. It's basically in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains. So I get a lot of yards that have, maybe a couple inches of soil. Then it's rock. So that kind of limits how deep you can get the trap, but then again, the mole can't really dig under it. So you just get it as deep as you can and bedded. If you tap your traps like this and they move, it's not bedded. All right, let's walk through. I got a couple extra traps. We'll walk back through and do a quick check on the traps, just because that's what I always do. So we're back up front here. Still set. And it also gives me an opportunity to maybe catch something that I didn't catch going through it the first and second time. Because the second time you're kind of zoned in on looking, where's the next trap, let's get it set. So it kind of gives me the opportunity to do one last once over. Good there. See, missed this right here. Nice section of tunnel right here, and it leads, looks like up there. So yeah, so coming out of the woods, so that this could actually be a really good spot where you might get a few of them. So what I'll probably do is, since I got these 2 traps, we'll just go ahead and I'll set one here and one here. You can see this crack right here. Sometimes if you look hard enough, you can tell if that crack looks fresh. That means they've been through here pretty recently. I can't say for sure if they've been through here recently, but they've definitely been through here. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll set 2 traps, and they don't have to be real far apart. The reason for setting 2 is if it's in fact is a spot where, you know, there's multiple moles using this tunnel to get up into the yard and into the beds, then if we catch one in this one, and you know there's another mole, we need to have another trap. So that's why I'll go ahead and set 2 of them here. And caught on a root. Push it back down. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when you set these, you want the dog in between the setting tool tongs. All right, so there. This one's kind of awkward because we're backwards. Okay, so there. And then we'll just come up here a couple feet. Set another one right here. Again, the more that tunnel that you can keep intact, the least amount of disturbance, the better off you're going to be. We opened that one up pretty cleanly, so I know some guys that trap late in the season like to use wax dirt. Perfectly acceptable. If you are worried about your traps freezing up, backfill with some wax dirt. Otherwise, you gotta wait for better weather. All right, let's finish out here. This video's already getting way too long. That one's still set. And then we're gonna come back up around by the tree stumps. Those are still set. Okay, that one's at a little bit of an angle. That's why it's setting kind of funny, because that tunnel, goes down. Okay, they're all still set. So we'll check back in a couple days and we'll do a follow-up video. If you watched it till the end, thank you. Give me a thumbs up. Have a good one.